Okay, I've started the broadcast. We will wait as we see folks rolling in. All right, I see folks rolling in. Hey, I see Llewellyn Falco. Awesome. Welcome. All right, I see Sanjeev has joined. All right, welcome folks. Please step right in. Join our cool little activity as we have lunch. And all right, see Darren, Drew, Laura, Lisa Cooney. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. Mike
Great.
Doherty.
Hey,
All right.
Josh.
Hey guys.
See Laura there as well. Welcome. We've got somebody from the AgileDC Conference.
Welcome guys. Come on in. We'll just get started in just a second. We still got more folks rolling in. Take some time to say thank you to Bob and George, two of our most favorite people in the community, spending time here today to kind of look back and see, you know, what's the amazing history. How did this all happen over the last 20 years in our area? And we're definitely, I'm excited to learn about. Every time I talk to them and we talk about the past, I learn new things that just blow my mind. And thank you, George and Bob, for joining us here today. I'm handing it over to you guys to run our little exercise, and we have until we can run all the way up until 1 o'clock. So
great.
Thank you. Over
got a question, Mateus.
Sure.
I don't see a chat feature, so I would love to put the Miro board link in someplace. But
yes, so I think we should have a session in the agenda. History of Agile in the DMV. Great. So we do have a chat there. Folks are there in the chat right now. We can.
I'll put it in the Whovitt chat.
George just posted it. There you go.
Excellent. Great. Okay. Welcome everybody. George and I wanted to get together and sort of walk through some of the history that we've seen in the DMV, and also wanted to get your input on this timeline. Would love for this to be face-to-face with stickies and Sharpies, but here we are in the middle of a pandemic. So welcome everybody. Glad you were able to make it. Hope you had a great conference so far. I certainly have loved a number of the talks. George, any thoughts before we start out?
Well, I see people are still popping in.
Yep.
So, you know, the activity is all going to be in this Miro board. That's going to be much more interesting to watch than Bob and me. So, and we'd like for you to participate by putting in the things that you're aware of. So
absolutely, and just a little posting guidelines, mostly DMV. Add some major milestones. You'll see that I added the manifesto, the Declaration of Interdependence, some books. Focus on events and community. Keep it brief, keep it appropriate. And we're not here to advertise companies. We're here to talk about community. So I'm going to zoom out. And would love to have you guys start to add in some of your milestones, some of the things that you've found important. We have guest Minotaur, we have Michael Doherty, I see George is in there, guest builder, Mateus. Would love to have a little bit of info from you. I pre-populated the AgileDC timeline. We've got the 2019 board on the lower level, and we've got our keynote speakers that we have had since 2010.
And one thing I thought of last night, one of the things that's happened a lot in recent years is there are a lot of meetups related to Agile in the area now, and we don't have those. And I suspect, you know, that could show a huge pile of new things over to the right-hand side of this timeline. I added a picture down at the bottom of the timeline of a community map that was drawn at the AgileDC conference last year or the year before, 2019, I think it was, that people drew there, putting stickies up with their name and then drawing connections. And you may find that interesting.
This is really cool. And this Miro board will still be open after the conference, right? Anyone can add to it?
Yep.
Awesome.
This is part of the archive of the conference.
Very cool.
And you're also welcome to, anybody wants to chat or talk, please raise your hand and we can open that up so that you can talk.
I see someone mentioned, Laura in the chat mentioned the future will be when the government actually adopts Agile. And I know that has, in some areas of government, that actually has taken a big foothold. And maybe we can see in the timeline there with regards to the government adopting Agile, what were the main, what were some big events there?
Yeah, and there's this great quote that I think Sanjeev turned me on to, and that was, "The future is already here; it's just badly distributed."
Right.
So,
Arthur C. Clarke, I think that is.
what was that? Arthur Clarke. Great.
Love that.
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes working with large organizations, whether government or corporate, sometimes it's, there's no use in complaining about how poorly the elephant dances, and it's amazing that the elephant dances at all.
Mm-hmm. It's like a bear on a bicycle. Okay. See some stickies. Please go on in and add your milestones, and then we want to save some time at the end to ensure that we can walk through these.
So it'd be good if you could put years on these things when you know them.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we can align them with the timeline.
Okay, we have anything in the early 90s? I know George and I were early members of the XPWDC. George Paci and I started that user group, and George was one of the early members and that group.
Where did that actually meet? Was that in Tyson's?
No, I had a tiny office when I had my my little company, and we held the meeting there, and then George Paci ran.
Was that in like inside the Beltway or
In DC?
Oh, yeah, in DC itself. Cool.
Yes,
Yeah,
kind of behind
3237
Union Station.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was back in the days when you said DC, you meant DC.
Yeah, right. Now DC is like the entire DMV area can be DC.
No. Living in Maryland, I can tell you now when people say DC, they mean Northern Virginia.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember when you could actually see the entire night sky in Fairfax. If you went out as far as Fairfax area, you see every star in the sky. And that was 20 years ago. And nowadays, the city lights basically block out almost the entire sky.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're starting to get some bunch of stickies. That's exciting. Okay. USDA using Scrum 2008. Great.
Yeah, someone, Laura in the chat said that she helped start the roots of Agile at IRS and all the way back in 2008.
Great.
Yeah.
And we've got Agile Coaches Camp. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to zoom in and scroll around some of these. Okay, 2002, KBR started Scrum with their internal portal. Excellent. For those of you not familiar with the Declaration of Interdependence, it certainly didn't get as much traction as the manifesto, but I think it's a great document as well. It talks about more that business agility and management agility. NASA Science website developed using Scrum, 2008. Great. Agile Influencers of DC, 2010 to 2015. EPA using Kanban. DC Women in Agile, 2014. Excellent. And as part of the 2019 Agile Conference here, we had the Women in Agile Conference. REI Systems on its Agile transformation, 2014. GSA, 2015. And I know George and I worked with USCIS with Mark Schwartz, which was an exciting program. As you're in there entering things in, if you know of something coming in the future, I sort of put question mark for 2021 on AgileDC. We'll see if we can be face to face. It would be lovely if we could. And thumbs down on 2020 AgileDC. Where's the Reinventing Work meetup? Excellent. Ooh, we've got a sticky way back here. First book on RAD, James Martin. Excellent. So I only see a few people in the mural. Anybody need the link? It is out in the agenda. Got 24 folks online and 9 on the mural. Please join, even if you don't want to add there. It allows you to go to the part that is most interesting for you. Okay, let's see what that one is.
Yeah, you can even join as guest. Don't need
Yep.
it.
Yeah. Meetup was founded June 2002. Excellent. George, we should have posted their test-driven development hat for the funny hats montage.
Well, so that's in a picture in there.
Now
Yep.
I see it.
Yeah,
That's
it was
so
the Agile in
cool.
Government Conference.
I want
Oh.
one of those hats. Where do I get one?
Well,
It's like a
Was
double cap.
the red-green refactor hat
Yeah,
for test-driven development.
that is awesome.
Which picture was that, Lisa? Sorry. Oh, the probably the network map. What year was that, George?
I think it was 2019. I'd have to go back and find the picture again.
Yeah, yep. Either 2018 or 2019 is what I call. Let's see. Oh, looks like we got a few more stickies. Traceable development, 2006. Excellent. Does anybody know what when the DC Scrum Users Group was formed? Oh, we've got somebody with their hand up. Lisa, I'm going to allow you to talk. Yes, Lisa. I've enabled your talking. Maybe she wanted to ask about
It might not be possible through the Hoover path.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, if she hasn't connected her audio, then
Okay, got it.
Pick it up.
So,
Oh, there.
Lisa, try the chat.
Yeah, if you have any comments, questions, just pop those in the Q&A. Or if anyone else would like to join the panel discussion, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you. I see so many people in this program that are extraordinarily chatty in real life. So if you have something you
folks,
want to
don't
add,
be shy. If you raise your hand, we will
we
can
will unmute you
if
or
you're
allow
able
you to
connect.
unmute.
Yeah, connect audio.
Oops, way too far in. Okay.
I love the little personal notes that people are adding, like about who kind of was life changing in their life at a certain time.
Yeah, please. I didn't see that. Deb Jam, Chicago. David Husband, yeah, Miss David. Okay, GSA begins modernization of SAM. Games for agility. It's fun. Oh, let's see. Hi, Michael. You took a class from Sanjeev. The odd little piece of history is Sanjeev took a class from me when I was co-teaching with Ken Schwaber. Okay, let me see. what do we have over here? Oh, the new product development game. Excellent. That was, I believe, 86. I should have taken the timeline back a little further.
We could just pile stuff up back there.
Mhm. Okay. First Safe Summit 2016. I missed that one. I got the 2019 Safe Summit. That one was in DC. Where was the first Safe Summit? Does anybody know? Was that out in Denver, probably?
Good question.
What is it with the air in Denver? Seems like
There's not much.
well, that's
It's low pressure.
Yeah, you think Agile is a direct result of hypoxia?
Right.
I know the RUP people initially thought we were brain dead.
Yeah, hypoxia causes euphoric feelings.
It does. It absolutely does. Okay, let's give another few minutes of writing, and then what I would love to do is sort of walk the timeline and have people speak to those things, if you would be so kind. So we'll give another 6 minutes. So at 12:40, we'll start channeling the man in black and walking the line. Let's see. Great. Sanjeev's book, Managing Agile Projects. You know, he was inspired by Jim Highsmith. Pattern language. Christopher Alexander.
I love seeing the kind of connections of inspirations between people and being able to trace that back. I think everyone can think of someone that absolutely was inspirational or life-changing influence in their lives.
Yeah, for me, it was meeting Ron Jeffries in '99. We was talking about the XP book at the Star East conference.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to meet Martin Fowler in 2000 at Java 1. That was the only part of that conference that had any value to me.
Yeah, he's every time he just opens his mouth, I learned something new. Yeah.
Mhm.
He's amazing.
I tried to have a conversation with him, but I was too starstruck at the time.
Yeah, that's funny because he's very, very nice, very approachable.
And he hates people treating him like a star.
I know.
But there you go.
Yeah. Whereas you and I love it, but no one does.
I think one of the great things about this community is that everyone is so down to earth and is very approachable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll give it another 4 minutes. Hey, Josh, Sanjeev, are you guys able to connect to audio and speak?
Yeah, folks, feel free to unmute yourselves, or if you would like to be unmuted, feel free to raise your hand.
Yeah, so this is
Hey,
Sanjeev. You
Hey,
guys are
Sanjeev.
unmuted. Hey, how are you?
Good.
Awesome session. Lots of cool collaboration on Miro and lively chat.
Hi, this is Lisa Cooney. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can, Lisa.
It's
Oh, great. Sorry about my problems with the mic earlier.
Yeah, no problem.
I do have a question for you all. In my observation, a lot of really powerful agile thinking has happened in this area. And when we look back at pictures from 10, 15, 20 years ago, there's just a lot of stalwarts who've brought so much to the Agile community in the last 20 years. And I'm curious, what is it about the DC area, in your opinion, that has generated such a rich Agile community?
Great question.
I don't know. Anybody that thinks they can postulate an answer, I'd love to open it up to you guys.
So this is Sanjeev here. I can offer some thoughts. I think what happened earlier, real early, maybe as long as 20 years ago, is that we got a collection of key people, and those folks stayed engaged and involved and became key folks who proselytized Agile everywhere. So I'm thinking back to Bob, who was a kind of a lonely and valiant soldier back in the days. Soldier of love, of course. He's not a warlike guy. George Dinwiddie.
Yeah, that's what everybody calls me, soldier of love.
Bad sheer companies got involved. There was lots of folks who stayed involved and engaged, and then there were things that sort of came and went, but became benchmarks and foundations for agility, like the early APLN chapters, which became ALN chapters, and just a critical mass of people who just believed that Agile was the way to go and just kept going over 20 years.
Yeah, I would even add on top of that it's the fact that we live in an area that back then was kind of like the Silicon Valley of the East, right? So we have all this industry that's driving this, and that brought a lot of challenges to software development and building systems, and so that kind of drove the need for people to just take the initiative and try and find better ways to do things. And I think and then I love how Sanjeev put it right there. He said that key people then stepped forward and tried to solve these problems.
I think another aspect is the co-location. I tried for years, along with some other people, to build a community in the Baltimore area, but Baltimore had moved all of its major corporations out of downtown, out to the suburbs in all directions, and getting people to show up for any sort of meeting was just impossible. You could not get a critical mass to keep something going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't forget the role of AgileDC as well. So I think 10 years ago, it just went from, what is it, Bob, like 70 people originally to 700 people now, and that critical mass that George you just mentioned just started to become an attractor, not just for people in the area, but from outside as well. People just started to cycle in and out of DC. And I think that interchange of ideas and interplay of people and ideas just helped it to grow and grow and grow. Not to mention Bob's, the speaker dinners at Bob's compound.
Yeah, those were fun. I also think because the government is here, conferences wanted to locate here because they could get sponsors who would wanted access to that market. So we had a lot of those larger conferences focused here. So
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Agile 2015, I think, was a huge pivotal moment in history, because for the first time you had the largest Agile conference here in DC and showcasing how Agile is taking hold in the US government. So that was, first big moment.
Josh and Paul, I saw you guys joined. What are your thoughts? What did you want to comment on before we walk the line?
Josh, I see you unmuted, but I don't think we can hear you.
I did unmute, but I didn't actually start talking.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, for me, it's been, and seeing some people put, hey, this agency. For me, it's been watching that tidal wave shift, and I think you're right, Matthias. I think it was, in that, probably in those years between 2013, 14, and today, even as some are still flipping, but that it finally kind of started to really hit a more tipping point where it was now becoming the required thing. And I think that has been awesome and cool to watch. As I mean, a lot of the reason why Waterfall got built the way that it did was the government contracting requirements. And so now as Agile moves into government contracting requirements, like, I think there's a desire on a lot of us to make sure that we don't let Agile become the next Waterfall, and it becomes very rigid and no, you must follow it because this is what the government contract says. And I think that people have gotten that and are doing some really cool things throughout government agencies and then throughout the DMV as a whole. I mean, I've seen others doing it as well, but it's been cool watching government like, oh, well, maybe we need to figure out something slightly different. And to see folks that are getting to where USCIS was and watching Army and watching DoD come out and say, yeah, if we can't do Agile right small, we shouldn't be trying to scale it. We need to get it right small first. Right. Some of those things have been great.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the reasons I was excited to work with USCIS was because I figured that if we can move the needle there, then there's no corporation in the country that could tell me they couldn't do Agile. I say, oh, you mean the federal government can and you can't? Huh.
Yeah.
So that was a really thrilling, success there.
Mm-hmm. Paul, I see that you're in the talking spot. Any thoughts before we walk the line? You were unmuted but silent.
Yeah, maybe as his audio setup.
Yep.
He's unmuted, but it's not picking up his audio.
Great. Anybody else want to step up? Or as we go through here, I would love to have people raise their hands and chip in. If you put the sticky in, give a little bit of color around that. We had the new product development game. That was 86. It was influential in Scrum. George, any thoughts on pattern language or the RAD book? I have to admit, I've not read those. Or anybody else?
So yeah, I kind of question the RAD book. Well, I don't know about that particular one, but but to my mind, yeah, I read up on RAD, and to some degree, I thought it kind of missed the point. Though, you know, it did suggest co-locating with the customer, with the business. That was good. The pattern languages, actually, it's design patterns that led me to discover XP, because WordsWiki was the Portland pattern repository.
Yep.
And I had been helping run a book review club on the design patterns book at a company. And when I left there, well, the company owned the book, so I had to leave it behind. And so I thought, well, you know, I've read the book. Maybe I don't want to buy it again, but, you know, I want to be able to refer it back to these patterns. And so I found WordsWiki. And there was all this talk about extreme programming. And I tried to ignore that for quite a while, until one day I used extreme programming as a punchline for an impromptu joke. And a colleague says, "Extreme programming, what's that?" And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, well, I really don't know. I guess I should find out.
Nice.
And then probably not too long after that, you showed up at the Evo. Are we not men? Oh no, that's Steve-O, sorry. The Evo methodology.
Yeah, well, I mean, extreme programming made a lot of sense to me, because I'd spent a lot of years, you know, doing basically solo development, where I was wearing a lot of hats. And so to a large degree, this was just a multi-person implementation of what I did there. But the idea of testing something you hadn't built yet made no sense. I didn't figure out how you could do that. So I had to try that out.
And then you got test infected, as did I.
Yeah, so I spent 3 days convincing myself that yes, you could test something before you built it, that I could do it, and that it was helpful. And then I tried to get the project to do it. I got so far as to the project lead of the new project firing up handed out copies of Test Infected to everybody on the project, and said to read it, but he apparently hadn't read it himself.
Yeah, that test-driven thinking is just absolutely amazing. How it just brings focus, right? Is anything you need to do, just have a test and make it true. How do you make that test pass, right?
Yeah.
And it also taught me to think in more object-oriented terms, because I was making requests of my objects. The test was asking it to do something. Whereas before, you know, I'd fallen back on procedural habits,
right?
You know, about, well, how do I make it do this? But my test wasn't concerned with that.
DSDM, got that added. Good friend of, or at least a good acquaintance of ours, Tudor from know her from DSDM Consortium. Anybody so see GlassCon? That's your conference, Paul. I think that picture was taken at a little GlassCon. Anybody want to come off mute and talk about any of these particular stickies? We got a lot of stuff added over here. Sorry, I'm making people sick by accidentally zooming around. We've got, who is that? I don't know that. I see Mark Schwartz, Jerry Fries, who's a great person over at IRS, worked with him a little bit in the past. And I'm gonna zoom in here. Greg Pickens. Not familiar with Greg, but anybody want to talk about Greg's legacy?
A lot of great comments in the chat here.
Oh, great.
Yeah, the Sanjeev posted Vivek Kundra's 25-point program.
Mm-hmm.
Sumit Agrawal says meetups in DC area has helped me a lot with my Agile journey.
Yeah, feel free to add more of those meetups up here. You don't have to have run the meetup. Ones that you've gone to, stick them in here too.
Yep, and we will leave this open for at least a little while. It will be an artifact that we'll make available. Well, I guess it's going to be available on the Agile 20 DMV archive.
Oh, Laura has raised her hand. Laura,
Hey, Laura.
great. Love your comments in the chat.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, much of this stuff on the left, I was in middle school and high school for, so it's just so interesting. You know, recall when I started in the workforce and how I started. You know, I started by coming to AgileDC and not knowing anybody, and you know, being new in my career and working in general, and just all the welcoming. And then thinking back to like meeting kind of a lot of you at GlassCon and AgileDC and different events, and you know, in my own path, it's really cool to see how it aligns in different ways.
Yeah, and we loved having your energy on the AgileDC board as well. So
Yeah, the energy that the newer generations bring in terms of just excitement, drive to improve is just so beneficial, and
Yeah.
I love how the community just welcomes the new generation in, along with all the old stalwarts, just to work together and be part of the same community. I just love that.
I do too, but I'm not sure what you're implying.
Did I just call you old, Bob? I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
That's
So
what
I was gonna say though, George is especially good at it, and we've had lots of conversations about that. Sometimes it's hard, and like I'm feeling it now, where I have a little bit of bias because I've been part of these conversations and the growth of Agile in DC for so long. It's hard to think back on where I started and just still be super welcoming and you know, thinking about making those people feel welcome and a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa does a good job of that too, Leah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Lisa, sorry, you reconnected. I'll give you talking abilities if you want to chime in.
Oh, sure. Thanks. I mean, there's 6 of us on the leadership team for the WIA. So, and I joined several years after they had gotten going. So it's been an interesting collection of really strong Agilists in the area who have in turn led that group. But we just love it. And we've really also benefited from being affiliated with the National Women in Agile group as well. So everyone's welcome to join. We have many, you know, typically at our meetings, we have several male allies attend, and we love to have them there and welcome their thoughts and ideas.
Yeah. Thank you for your work in that community, Lisa. We've gotten so many very diverse perspectives that come out of that community, and also just the talent pool in this area is being like rejuvenated by you bringing people into the fold, especially women who bring the very diverse perspectives and really complement the teams that are starving for that diversity, and really helping to increase the talent pool in this area. So thank you for everything you do in there.
Oh, you're very welcome. I love it. It's you know, definitely a work from the heart.
Yeah, thank you to the women who have been such significant contributors in this community. I want to call out a few who may not be here today, but played a really strong part in the early days, and that's Linda Cook. Some of you might know her. She's based in Baltimore. And locally in Tysons, well, actually Fairfax, Philippa Fuel, former colleague at CC Pace, also an early adopter and strong contributor in the Agile space.
Camille Bell.
Camille Bell, yeah.
The technical space. Yeah.
Oh, I've had such amazing conversations with both of them.
And
Camille was an early XPWDC member also.
Yep.
I'm not sure, she might have been there before I was. And in terms of gender diversity, I have to say that of all the keynotes we've had, the one that most impressed me was Rebecca Parsons, who spoke at the our one tech conference back when we just thought we could do 2 conferences a year.
The one I was most impacted by probably was Linda Rising. She gave an amazing keynote at AgileDC. And she's here today as well.
Yeah. The keynoter of keynotes.
All right, so we got a couple minutes left. Just to, I'll let Bob wrap it all up, but just so everyone is aware, this mural board will be left open. Also, we're going to start the new session. So take a look at the agenda to see what breakouts you have available. Also keep in mind we have a networking hour towards the end of the conference. George Dinwiddie will be hosting his a fishbowl session where anyone can join, and we'll have a dialogue and conversations and ask questions. Check that out. You'll find it in the agenda, and we're excited about that. That's one you have many options we at one time to do that, but that's one thing that you'll be able to get to see him again later on today. So thank you all for joining, and Bob, I will let you end with your closing remarks here.
George, I'm volunteering you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. We love having you and love trying to build a community.
So this is how Bob and I used to do podcasts. Bob would turn to me and ask me a question that I wasn't expecting, and wait for an answer. But this has been a lot of fun. We've got a lot of stuff on this timeline. And I think we're still just barely scratching the surface. I think there's a lot that could be added to it. And you can see that as we move to the right, it gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And that says good things for the future. I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, and thank you for all the folks that work so hard to bring the Agile 20 conference together. I talked with Carl Scott and the local group here. So thanks for helping to continue building the community. So really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's a community, and anytime any one of us starts something or does something, we make sure that everyone is able to participate in it from our community. And that's what I love about it. Very inclusive, and I really appreciate you guys participating and adding a lot of value to this event. So thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and end the stream now, and we'll see you guys in another session. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.